Hey guys, welcome back. This week we're still sticking around with our saltwater flies. Last time I did a gurgler, which is a great topwater for the salt, freshwater even. It's a very, which was a very simple pattern. Go back, check it out. It's the last video that I did. This week I'm gonna go down to the bottom. I love going to the coast, especially the low country, down through South Carolina, Georgia, into Florida, and you get them tailing redfish and them king tides along the Atlantic coast. You get them things, you see them things pop up, and you want something you can throw down there on the bottom because they're not going to see anything going over the top. They don't care. They're chasing those fiddler crabs, and the other crabs are getting up in that grass when that tide's coming in. You could throw 1,000 times. A whole school of bait fish could swim over top of their heads, and they're going to ignore them. What you're going to do is get you a little guy like this. It's got these little dumbbell eyes on it here. It's just some bead chain, doesn't need a lot. Very simple. This is only about the size of a quarter as far as width wise. Got some length. You throw this along and you scoot this along the bottom, they're going to eat it up. You need to get something down a little bit faster. You can change out that bead chain for some actual, get some little weight. Put some small dumbbell eyes in there if you want. I found bead chain works pretty good for this. This here, it's got some blue, it's got some brown, it's got some tan. It's got a good call, it's going to draw attention to itself just the way you want it to. So stick around, watch and see how this goes. Please, when I'm done, like, subscribe, follow me on the other social medias that you can find. I'm trying to build up, if you decide you want to come to Kentucky and chase bass, muskie, carp, let me know, because we'll throw these for carp. I'm pretty sure that a bonefish would go chasing this little guy. Permit. So watch, enjoy, guys. Thanks. Okay, guys, as you can see, this thing isn't very big. I've got it sitting there beside that quarter so you can take a quick look at it. It's simple. It's some monofilament eyes, little bucktail for the tail end of this. It's got an EP fiber brush and then a couple of different colors of EP fibers in there for the body. You can tie these in a couple of different sizes. This one's on a size 1/0 hook, or size 1 hook. I found that's a pretty good size hook for what I'm using it for. So you're not looking at anything real big. It's simple. It's great fly all the way around. Okay, guys, what I'm going to start with on this fly is actually making the eyes for it. I've got about a 6-inch piece of mono right here. And all I'm going to do first is I'm just going to grab it in a pair of needle nose pliers. Grab me a lighter. I'm just going to come to the end, flame on it here. Just kind of lower it down. You'll see it start rolling that monofilament up into a ball. So you can see it here. Kind of look like that right there. If I can get the focus on it enough. Okay. Just going to do that on both ends. Then I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to make sure it's cooled off here enough. This one end needs just a little bit more to even it out. Get them cooled off. Then I'm just going to kind of cut off about an inch worth of it below where I just made that eye. Do that on both sides. Doesn't have to be exact, but you want it pretty close to that. Then next, what I've got here, so I have a piece of just white foam that I picked up somewhere. It's not going to be used for anything. It was a piece of packing foam. And I'm just going to stick those eyes down in it. Like so. Let me tilt this down so you can kind of see a little bit what I'm talking about here. As you can see them right over here to the side. Just to kind of get them to hold up right like that. So what I'm then going to do is I'm just going to go in there with a little bit of nail polish. In this case it's like a reddish orange color. I'm just going to paint those. Just the tips of them. Just to where it's kind of bulbed out. Just to make them stand out a little bit better, as you can see. You can see them on there now. And just let that kind of set that to the side and let it dry. Get my vise back up here. And the hook that we're going to use for these are actually from Empaqua. They're Saltwater X series. They're the XS 410s. These are in a size 1. Straighten up my camera here. Yeah. And the thread I'm going to use is actually from Uni-Thread. It is a 3.0 wine color. Let's kind of get it started. Trim off my tag there. And then what I'm going to use is I'm actually going to use some bead chain to make some on the back of these to give them a little bit of weight. Just going to lay those just a little back from the eye. And we're just going to figure 8 those in. As you can see. Kind of zoom you up here a little bit closer so you can get a better look at this. There we go. Just kind of straighten them up here so they're kind of angled completely perpendicular. And then I'm just going to take, once I make a few figure 8s around them, then I'm just going to wrap going underneath both eyes and over top of the hook. Kind of helps hook that, lock that down. I'm just going to run the thread all the way back here to the bend. Leave it hanging for a second. And then I'm just going to grab a little bit of super glue. Just put a small drop right over top of that bead. Right there in between the two beads. Let it dry in. Help lock them in place. That way they're not wanting to spin and turn on us. Now, for the tail of this, I'm actually going to use just some bucktail in natural color. I'm just going to get some of the brown. And just trim that out right at the base. Don't need a lot. I mean, honestly, when you get it kind of down, it's probably about the size of a pencil lead. And I'm just going to kind of trim that off real good and even. And leave me a piece about the 1.5 the length of the shank of the hook, maybe almost 2. Come in right there and just tie that back. Come right back up to the bend and just leave that right there, pulling it tight. That's just going to make that tail for you. It's going to come flowing back through there. Now I'm going to grab the first of my 2 eyes out of my foam, because it's giving that fingernail polish plenty of time to dry up. I'm just going to angle them so they lay at just about, not quite at the same angle as the hook, but pretty close to it. Just give me a few quick grabs there to hold that in place. Make sure it's kind of tilted the way you want it, because it will pull up on you sometimes. Kind of push it down there to where it needs, kind of angle it around. I'm just going to grab that second one. Come in here and kind of match that angle. tie it off. I'm just going to spin this over so it's now sitting like this. We'll kind of get in there, and I'm just going to kind of get those eyes in a slightly better angle. Get them up a little bit, kind of this way I can kind of see what I'm looking at here. Kind of want to keep them separated enough. You don't want them laying right on top of each other, so getting them angled just right is the thing. Okay, I'm going to flip that back over now that I got them eyes the way I want them. And the next thing I'm going to do is I have this from EP Fibers that is got a blue and a tan kind of in it. It's an EP fiber brush. Just going to trim just a little bit out so I can get to the wire. That way I got something to tie down onto, and I'm not bulking that up right there. I'm just going to come in right there at the eyes, tie that in. Just leave that hanging there for a second. Next step is get your fingers a little wet, and then as you wrap this, what you want to do is kind of brush it towards the same direction as the eyes. You're just going to make one quick wrap around fully, then a second. That way you get a little bit of those blue fibers in there too, along with that tan, that light brown. Brush everything that direction, and then just tie it off. So you don't need a lot of the blue in there. It's just enough to give it a little bit of color to it. Cut that out, and just kind of brush everything towards the back of the hook here. Okay, just enough. And just kind of tie that down real good, and clean a few of those out of there. Clean some of those stragglers out so you got some room here to work. Okay, kind of pull those up. There we go. Just kind of, like I said, just kind of keep brushing everything back. Seeing that you don't like the way that they're going, if they're not laying the way you want, just trim them out. There. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this loose EP fiber in an almost a matching, slightly darker brown, and I'm going to take about a half a pencil width for this. Bunch of that fiber, bunch it up. It's going to be about 3 inches, 2 to 3 inches long when you do that. Then I'm just going to take and just figure 8 in. I do always start with 2 going one way, 2 going the other. Just kind of lock that down there. Kind of push it towards the back there a little bit, and 2 wraps in front of it. Next, I'm then going to come in with a dark brown EP fiber and do the exact same thing, but make this one a little bit smaller. Come in there once, twice, back the other way once, twice. Pull it all down, get it straightened up the way you want it. Push it towards the back to give you just a little bit of space. And then 2 wraps there. Help lock everything down in place. And just leave it there. Then you go back to your light brown that you had. You made your first little bundle out of. And cut you a piece out there too. This one's back to about that 1/2 pencil width. Just kind of get it all smoothed down. Come in. Twice there. Once. Twice there. Pull it down tight. 2 quick wraps there. Then I'm just going to come in front of those bead chains, put a few wraps around it. Now I'm going to go in there and just whip finish it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I don't double up that whip finish on this because I'm then going to go in and take just a little bit of super glue and just kind of put it right there at the end. And then I usually put a drop or 2 up through there to help hold those things in place. Now, giving that glue a few minutes to dry, I just kind of shape it back through there a little bit. Make sure I got everything laying the way I want it. And I take it out of the vise, put this down out of the way. I'm going to switch to my bigger hair scissors here. I'm going to take a 1/4. I'm going to lay over the body and try to get it as close as I can to even on both sides. Okay, right on the hook like so. Get a grip here where you can see it. It's going to do this right here. This is going to give you your basic outline shape. I'm just going to come in here with those scissors. I'm just going to come right up around the edge of that 1/4 and just trim that stuff off like so. And do the other side like so. So you can see it here. Clean that stuff out of there. And then once you have your basic shape that you're wanting for this, kind of just brush everything back a little bit. You're going to kind of be able to look at it then and see where you need to kind of clean things up at. Just kind of clean it all up to give you that basic outline shape that you want there. What I a lot of times will do is I will go in right over top of everything here, as you can see. As you can see by looking at this one, it's kind of crowded up those eyes that I made in there, making it a little hard to see them. I just come in there right above them and just trim out everything just to get you to be able to see into there those. Kind of clean out around that hook gap real good, because you want to leave that open. And there you have it. Nice simple crab shrimpy pattern for saltwater. It's going to go down on the bottom and sit right there for you to look at. It's great for tailing redfish, trout. You can even take this same pattern if you need to, downsize the hook a little bit, but this isn't too bad of a hook for doing this. You can take this pattern and use it for carp and everything in freshwater. So there you guys go. As you can see, you only got something about the size of a quarter. It's going to sit right down there, look like a crab rooting around trying to hide. So tie you up a few of these, head to the coast, see what you can grab a hold of. Thanks, guys. Okay, guys, there you have it. As you can see, it didn't take me very long to whip this up. You can tie several at a time. Several at a time. Take to the coast with you. You're going to enjoy them. Change up the colors a little bit. Bring them in there and throw them on a flat on the lake and see how many carp you can catch. Throw them at smallmouth in the rivers even if you want to. Give them a try there. You can change that weight up pretty easily, so it's not that bad. I keep 4 or 5 of these in my box when I'm going and have everything I need to tie more if I need them. Up the size of the hook a little bit if you're going in for something, if you're getting in there when they're bigger. You can up the way you do it. Instead of a quarter, use a 50-cent piece if you want it really big. Go a little bit wider, go a little bit shorter, hairs, whatever. Change the colors up some if you feel like you need to, but these work pretty good for me. You can tie them in a little bit darker color if you decide to. Tie them in a lighter color depending on where you're at. Now, please remember to follow me, like, subscribe. You can find me on here. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram, of course. You can find me on Facebook. Just type in Home Waters Kentucky and it'll bring it up. You can find my guide page, my personal page on there that way. Don't forget, this summer you're going to be able to find me at the Maggie Valley Fly Fishing Festival on Memorial Day weekend in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. And then the following weekend, I am going to be back in Thomas, West Virginia for the Appalachian Fly Fishing Festival, which both are great times. Please come find me. I'll be tying, I'll be setting up, I'll be selling my flies. I'll be setting up guide trips if you want to come down to Kentucky and try everything out with me. Please do. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun down here. We really are a forgotten about area for this. But just remember to make sure you like this video and I'll keep them up. Thanks.